Welcome to Democracy Watch. My name is Ademolu Okuneye. Nigerian democracy has been seen from different perspectives by many analysts. And to some, there's a need for some character in terms of personalities going or holding different positions in the country. And one that many have been talking about is in the area of achievements, moral behavior, as well as pedigree concerning human approach to issues and achievements. We have in the studio today someone who had actually made a mark in the business circle, someone that could be described as highly successful, especially in different areas that he had actually played a role. He is no other person than the APC Gubernatorial candidate in Delta State, Olorogun O'tega Emerhor. You're welcome to Democracy Watch.
Thank you. Thank you, Ademolo.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure to be here today.
Well, from my analysis, initial one, there's no doubt you are a successful businessman. What actually took you to politics?
Well, it's a question that I get asked all the time. But basically, you are in this country. As a Nigerians, you've seen the history, where we come from in terms of the pedigree of people that go into politics. We sometimes who are in the business sector or who are doing well on our own feel that, look, politics is not for us. And what you find is that people go there, people who have not established any experience in managing businesses or even managing people, they go and play politics, and the result is what you see today. So for me, I believe that the experience we acquire in doing things for ourselves and building businesses is very relevant for developing our political space, because that is the only way that the dividend of democracy that we're all craving for will ever come to the people.
Now when you take a look at the fact that you are going for the gubernatorial election, I know that some time ago you contested for the senatorial seat.
Correct.
Of your area. Can you share your experience with us?
The truth is that, when I contested the senatorial election, that was in October 2003, then you realize that the APC as a party were just coming together.
That's 2013.
13, yes, it was 2013. Yeah. Then, APC was registered July or so, 2013. The party was just coming together. We have an amalgamation of so many parties. Our structures were still being fused together. So, but we managed to do that because we pull in to really show that what is happening in Delta State can be corrected. And we were quite ready. And if the election was allowed to take place, we would have won that election. But again, it was an isolated election, the only election in the country. And the PDP, as usual, don't like voting. They don't like elections. Particularly, they can't count on their popularity because they are not popular. So what they did was to militarize the process and intimidate and not get our people to come out. They stole the election. The story is very clear.
Because I wanted to say that the election actually took place.
Yes.
The election took place.
Yes.
So when you said that election was not allowed to take place.
Well, voting, I won't say election. Voting was not allowed to take place. If you look at the result, they claimed there was a voting of about 300,000 plus. The gubernatorial election for the whole state that was done earlier on was only about 500, less than 500. And they assigned 200 and something to themselves. They gave APC 29,075 votes. They gave the then DPP 29,050 votes. So you could just see the allocation of the votes. there was really no voting allowed. They went to the collation centers and wrote the result. It was very clear what happened.
But you were to take a legal action. What happened concerning that legal action? We
did take a legal action, but this was protracted, was dragged on. You know, the tenor of that position ends in May, and there's opportunity for them, even if they lose, to continue to appeal to the Supreme Court. At a point, even though we knew we had a good case, we realized that the time left was very short. And in view of this governorship that was also coming, and because we were dealing with people from the same area, I was prevailed upon by the leadership of our people that we should concentrate on the gubernatorial, and that was why we decided, both from the point of view of the shortness of time to actualize the mandate, as well as to focus on the governorship, then we decided to pull out of that.
Now, when you take a look at the challenges concerning the gubernatorial election, what actually make you to feel that you want to actually serve the people?
The truth is that this time around for the Guba election, it's very clear that not just in Delta, but nationwide, Nigerians want to try something different. For 16 years, the same group of people who had actually boasted they will rule for 100 years have been trying to rule this country. And things have gone from bad to worse. I mean, we are all witness to this. So you see that across the country, there is a movement. People want to see something different. If people have tried their luck, tried their competence, try the ability to govern for 16 years, and this is where they've gotten us to. People want something that is different. And fortunately, I think this is God's doing. You know, we now have two major parties. This is what you have in America, for example, United States of America. They have the Republican, they have the Democrats. And they try these two parties all the time. And that encourages people, the electorate, to be in charge of their future. If the party is not doing well, what do? They just vote them out. This same thing is happening in the UK. You know that they have the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. Even in Ghana, as small as Ghana, there are two major parties. So they continue to, you know, vote out those who are not performing. That forces people who are in government to really know that power belongs to the electorate. This is the first time it's coming to this country, and that is why people are so excited that they now have an alternative. They have the APC as the alternative, and people want to try the APC for whatever it is worth. And then the issues we are talking about that has made this government, these 16 years of PDP, terrible is that with corruption so entrenched, nothing can get done. And the willpower to deal with corruption, the PDP has not shown it. Other than that, look at security, look at the economy. What is the dollar rate today? Over 200 naira to a dollar. Look at the stock exchange, all the prices have crashed down. You know, so they are not in charge, they can't handle the economy, they can't handle security, and then they can't handle corruption. This is anarchy, and people are fed up. They want to try something new. This is the same scenario that we have in Delta. I know you want to know about Delta.
Exactly.
But this is, you know, what happened in the national is also affecting all the states. In Delta, it's been horrible. For 16 years, go and see. You know, Delta is known or seen or perceived, and in reality it is true. It's a well-resourced state. The revenue allocation that comes to Delta, because it's an oil-producing state, is huge. If you want to count among the states in the country that receive the most revenue, it will probably be like third. So a lot is expected from a state like Delta. But for 16 years, what do you see? Go. Most of the roads are under construction. There are no visible development projects that you see. Unemployment is over, if I say 70%. I'm being generous. All the youths are driving Okada or doing something like that. The crime rate is high. So this is clearly evidence that 16 years has been misused, there's been misruled, the resources have not been applied, and they are very eager to see a new direction, and that is my motivation.
Now, I want us to take a look at something that has been said about you.
Yes.
You are described as a great philanthropist. Can you share your ideas concerning your motive, especially concerning philanthropism, and to what extent have you actually touched the lives of the people?
The truth is, if you are blessed by God, if you are just one of so many millions of people, so if you are able to rise above the so many challenges that naturally are there to stop people from rising to a certain level, you should count yourself lucky, and you should give back. As a business person, as a business owner, I've realized this, and in terms of employment, I do have companies in Delta State that engage people. That is the first level of assisting the people. Of course, we've also set up scholarships for people, students to enjoy, so that they are able to go to school. And then regularly we try to do community empowerment, by ensuring that, projects, water, stuff like that are provided to various communities. So you see that as giving back to the community. But to do that more, to be able to really touch the life of the people, is the government that can have that capacity. Individuals may try their best, but we have a government, we have the government of a state that should have responsibility for lifting the life of people. And that is why I have decided that, look, the competencies, the experiences I've achieved in the private sector, I could put it to good use in running Delta State. And the thinking that government is government, business is faulty, because the same ideas that are used to run a private sector can be deployed to running a state. Running a state, you are still dealing with people, you are dealing with capital, and you are dealing with the same issues that you deal with when you are running a private sector.
We will still talk on how you want to run Delta State, if possible. The program is Democracy Watch, and our guest today is the APC Gubernatorial candidate in Delta State, Olorogun O'tega Emerhor. The program continues after this message. You're welcome back. It is still Democracy Watch, and our guest, the APC Gubernatorial candidate for Delta State, Olorogun O'tega Emerhor. Now, you spoke as part of your contributions to influencing developments, especially in your philanthropic activities in Delta State, provision of water. I was actually surprised. Provision of water is supposed to be government's responsibility. Why are you going to provision of water for the people? And can you also mention some of the areas where these people were also benefited?
Well, let me say that I call that as an example, but the truth is we are dealing with the issue of development, which is a primary responsibility of government. Government is not individuals that actually should be providing, but of course, if you are blessed and you have the resource, you should do that. Which is why we say that, why is government not connected to the people? Because if government is connected to the people, then you take community by community, you take local government by local government, you understand the need of those communities, and then you program them into your budget on an annual basis. Now, the resources of government may not be enough to attend to everything, which is why government need to develop what we call a private-public sector initiative. If you look at the programs that I'm going to run as a a governor of the state if by God's grace I'm elected as a governor. Those are the issues. You want to be deliberate, you want to be methodical about this. You truly have to know the needs of the people, and you need to bring government closer to the people. That is why you have the concept of local governments. The local government should become the hub for development. With 25 local government in Delta State, you are able to understand what are the needs of this local government. What we see today is that local government gets allocation, and they end up only paying their salaries of civil servants, and they do nothing else. But if the state government focus on the need of the local government and decide to say, okay, you've received X amount, this is your budget amount to deal with water, deal with basic things like infrastructure in the local government, local hospitals that are in the local government, primary schools and other infrastructures that need to be dealt with. You are able to estimate what is required, and then you can then support the funding that is available to the local government. And then you can bring private sectors to also participate in supporting, because all these developments, some of them can be commercialized, some of them can be done in terms of build, operate, and transfer. So there are so many private sector initiatives that can be used to support projects from local government to local government. Then you begin to see that the combination of government effort aided by private sector effort, you begin to see projects and development actually touching the people. But without that kind of concept, if you rely on just the allocation that is coming from the federal government, you just be paying salaries, you just be doing contracts that you believe really will affect the people, and later they get abandoned, and that is why we have what we have today in the state.
From your contribution now, you are trying to say that you can actually influence private sector movement into, or investment into Delta State with your connection.
Let me tell you the program I have for Delta State. Maybe that will be, that will make this a bit clearer, instead of talking generally. The truth is that I believe that the major problem in Delta State is over 80% of people are unemployed, technically unemployed. The only people employed in Delta State as we speak today are civil servants. And people, the rest of the people, you can classify them into contractors that are waiting to get job from the government. Traders and market people, individuals who are just aching at a living by trading and struggling on their own, and then the rest is unemployed. So there are no companies in Delta State, there are no industries that are engaging any person. You cannot name, even if there are one or two owned by private sector. The quantum of unemployment is so small. So government is just the business, and government is overwhelmed because they are not dealing with issue of recurrent expenditure and paying salaries, and then that is the end, and the rest they give out in contract. And then of course with corruption and all that, the evidence of those spending cannot be seen on ground. Now you need to break that circle. My program for Delta State is to get Delta back to work. That is, everything flows from that. How do you get everybody back to work? You get everybody back to work by first of all looking at the most critical strata of unemployment, which is youth, women, and small businesses. And what I have done, what I have proposed, is to set up an empowerment fund, and I have earmarked about 10 billion that I will save over a 3-month period. If I can save it, I will augment it with private sector effort. Then you set up what you call access points in each local government. This will be like you have microfinance or some funding institution, or you can engage the existing banks to disburse this fund. Now you put what you call venture capitalists and advisors to manage this fund in each of the local government. You begin to direct the youth, the women, and small businesses to assess. You begin to advise them, and over time, you now have opportunity to engage so many people in doing business, in running their life, because this has a multiplier effect. If each family has a breadwinner, 2, 3, 4 people down the road begin to benefit. Now you find out that people today want to do any business, whether youth, whether women, whether small business, they have nowhere to run to. If they go to the banks, what do they get? Stonewall, because they cannot afford to provide the collateral and stuff like that that is naturally required by commercial banks before they will support such people. So government need to intervene, and this is like a real emergency. You need to address that, to have a pool of people that are beginning to work. That is a major thing. Now when a substantial population of a state is working, look at the example in Lagos State. Because so many people are working, there is also revenue flow back to government in terms of ability to pay tax, ability to contribute to various things that are being done. So you address that. Then you look at infrastructure. Infrastructure is not being developed because government feel that there's no money to do it. But when you are in a state like that, you select most of the major infrastructures and commercialize them. And you bring private sector people. People would rather drive a smooth road, well-paved, 2-lane like you have in Lagos, for example, with toll gates to contribute to the recovery of the construction of that road, than begin to drive on death traps where their vehicles are destroyed and they go back to now spend so much to repair the vehicles, not to talk of their life that is even at risk. So you need to approach a state like Delta State, where you already have substantial revenue coming. You treat that revenue as counterpart funding. You use it to attract more funding to the state. Take housing, for example. Government could open up so many green areas for housing by just providing the land and the access roads in those places, and then get the banks and private sector to come and build. And because people are working, you can then mortgage those houses to them. Government will support, employers will support by remitting repayment over a period of 15 years or so. And people already have the comfort of their houses. So you need to partner government with private sector and the people. And that is really my motivation as a private sector, because these are things we do in the private sector and people don't think that they can be replicated in the public sector. It can be replicated.
So what is your message? Because my director is just telling me now that I have just 2 minutes. What is your message to Deltans in Lagos, and especially those also in Asaba now, especially?
Okay. What I need to say is that the APC has a formula for providing economic development, particularly to Delta State, and I represent that formula. There are other 2 parties that are contesting. There's the PDP and then there's the Labour. Both of them are branches of the same tree. PDP and the Labour have nothing to offer. To start with, Labour is already canvassing for PDP because they don't have a presidential candidate. And it's really a diversion. So I don't want to talk about Labour. But PDP itself has brought us to where we are. The man that is contesting with me has no new ideas. He's been there from being council chairman to commissioner to SSG and now a senator. They've been ruling the state. They brought us to where we are today. They have no new ideas. They just want a continuation of the same thing. APC, through me, is the only party that wants to change things in Delta State. And if these things are analyzed to you, if we take Delta State for what it is, with the resources that is available to Delta State, if we apply private sector initiative, if we run the state as if we are running an economic unit that should affect the life of the people, then Deltas will begin to see that they are now engaged. A lot of the young people will be taken out of the street. We also have programs to look at local government as the development hub, so that local government can start competing with local government in terms of development. We also want to ensure that industrialization is taken as a key component, because we will attract industries and private sector to build, and because we have resources that can support such industries in Delta State. These are the things we want to do. Mainly, we want to engage Delta State. We want to get them back to work. When people are working and earning a living, it flows back to government, and government is reinforced to continue to do more. We will eliminate corruption. That will save over 40 to 50% of our expenditure today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olorogun O'tega Emerhor, gubernatorial candidate for the APC in Delta State. And we want to thank you for coming on Democracy Watch. Well, viewers, it's on this note that we end this edition of the program. Next week, we shall come your way with another package. Olorogun,
thank you very much.
Have a wonderful
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good night.